All right, I am here with the general manager of the Saskatoon Blades, Colin Priestner. Colin, this is a unique year for everybody in the Western Hockey League. Most of the time we're in Red Deer doing the Bantam Draft. Obviously, we had to adjust. So what did the Saskatoon Blades do to prepare for this year's draft?
I think similar to a lot of teams, we did a lot of Zoom meetings and kind of made the best of it. And I think if anything, our regional guys had kind of more of a say than they ever have, because we did so many meetings online with not only within the regions but then including all of them at once. Whereas in person you got the weekend with them at each cup, but after the cup they kind of you don't talk to them a ton until the night or before the draft. So we definitely miss the camaraderie of having everybody at the same building, and it's a great reward to have all those guys at the hotel and getting to see the draft unfold. But I think in terms of our process and how it worked out, I think it was great. So we didn't have any technical glitches or anything like that. And then the other part is sometimes when you're at the draft table in a big ballroom, you could really you're very quiet and you're whispering a lot, or you're not asking a lot of questions because you don't want people around you to hear you. It's just your natural instinct. But having that privacy where you can talk freely was really good.
So you guys, unique situation also in the draft. You had a good team this year that was definitely, you guys were in the playoffs, a team that really was going to compete for Eastern Conference Championship and potentially a Western Hockey League Championship. But because of a previous trade, you guys had the 5th overall pick, and you selected a very talented defenseman from Yale Hockey Academy, Tanner Dyke. What did you guys see in him that made you want to pick him up with the 5th pick in the draft?
Just so many things, starting with his skating, just an elite level skater. Guys like Byram and Ty Smith, and they don't come along very often when you can skate like that and have that kind of base to your game. And we think he's a true elite skater. So that's obviously the first thing you notice when you watch him. But then as the year went on, like his offensive confidence started to grow, and his second half of the year, I think he was close to 3 points a game, which is just unbelievable for a defenseman. He was just putting up 4 and 5 point games routinely, and he's got that offensive dimension because of how well he thinks the game, how quick he can move the puck, and his defensive game is outstanding. He's not a one-way guy at all. He takes care of his own end and joins the rush and when he can. And we just thought he was just a franchise defenseman that doesn't come along very often. So to get him there was just an absolute gift for us.
So your second round pick, Lucas Hansen from Winnipeg, he was the first of, I believe, 5 forwards in a row. So last year you guys were able to pick up Brendan Lisowski early in the first round, an incredibly talented offensive forward who unfortunately has some injury issues this year, a blood clot that missed a lot of the season for him. But you were able to pick up a ton of offensive talent in the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th round. So what can you tell us about Lucas Hansen and where you see him fitting into the Blades lineup?
Yeah, Lucas is a really unique player. He's got that drive and motivation that you just, even the kids who have a great drive and motivation, I mean, they look up to guys like this because he just comes to the rink every day, excited to practice, excited to see his teammates. He's a two-way centerman. He's got speed. He's got skill. He cares about his defensive zone. He wins big draws. He's got a great shot. I think he's just an outstanding leader and a guy that we can really use to complement the other, great young centermen that we have in our system with Lisowski and Doc and Weens and guys like that. So, and he's versatile as well. So we just thought getting him there was, I think not having a Manitoba Cup really hurt him and maybe a few of the other Manitoba kids, because those teams don't often get into the John Reed tournament or some of the other big tournaments in BC. So I think maybe the visibility on some of those Manitoba kids was a little bit lower. So we were really fortunate to get him where we did. And like you said, we took a D in the first pick. So, we really wanted to focus on forwards if they were the best player available, clearly. And we felt there was a lot more, depth at the forward position to get some high-end guys. And we knew getting that D early was going to really take a big weight off the D for this draft class. And And then we really like two of our defensemen, especially that are in our system that we're hoping to sign here in the coming months. And that would be Zeev Buium out of Shattuck, who we took in the U.S. draft. He was an 05. And Aiden Celebrini, a late birthday 04, who would be the same NHL draft class, a big right-handed shot D. So we've got some really high-end prospects there as well. So we felt really comfortable with where our D was at, and it allowed us to go grab some really, really good forwards in the next couple picks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at your draft class this year: 3 defensemen, 8 forwards, no goalie selected. So when you're preparing for a draft like this, do you plan, we're going for the best player available, we need to get a goalie, or do you guys just work straight off the list you build?
Well, in terms of goalies, we took a goalie high last year, Ethan Chadwick, in the 3rd round, and then we actually drafted another goalie, Austin Elliott, and signed him, which is rare to sign two from the same age group, but he was having such a great year and he had such a great camp. We just felt, it was an easy decision. So we didn't feel the need to draft a goalie this year. We were looking potentially late, but we knew with 2 goalies signed from the previous year, we look at goalie cycles every 2 years as kind of as our needs go. So that wasn't a big priority for us this year. And we wouldn't want to draft someone who didn't have a big opportunity at that position. And then in terms of, looking at the forwards that we drafted, we just felt all those guys really complemented what we were building here. They play with, these guys are guys that play with pace. They all are gamers. They're guys that are captains of their team. And we wanted guys that were really had a burning desire to play pro hockey and learn from a great coach in Mitch Love and assistants Ryan Keller and Ryan Marsh, and really come to Saskatoon wanting to become professional hockey players, and guys that weren't going to need that extra push, that they had that internal push. So when you look at guys like Hansen and that we took in the 2nd, and Jordan Keller and Parr and Volotovsky, these kind of guys that we took, they all had those traits in spades. So that was really important for us to get guys like that. And from our previous drafts, we hadn't signed a ton of forwards over the last 2 years, 2 or 3 a year. So we felt this was the year that to get 4 or 5 that we feel can play was a good bet for us.
So draft's over. Again, unique situation in the world right now, but what's the next step for this draft class? What can they expect moving forward with the Blades?
Yeah, I think everybody's going to have to just be as patient as they can, because none of us know what's going to happen here in terms of what's happening in our own provinces and then nationally. And then we are a league with 2 countries, obviously, with 5 American teams, and all of us have European players. So firstly, we need to make sure these borders get opened and everything's safe for our players to play, and then worrying about, a safe spectator experience too. So it's really out of our hands. So what we've told all of our draft picks is the same thing we've told our roster players, is continue to train hard and pretend that, nothing's different right now in terms of your outlook. And if things get pushed back, they get pushed back. And, that's out of our control. That's bigger than the sport of hockey or anything. This is a world issue we're dealing with. So, we're really hopeful that things are going to keep progressing here. And I think we've done a great job in Saskatchewan at flattening the curve and really lowering the cases. And I know other provinces are getting there too. So we're hopeful, and all these players now, it's going to be on them to come to be self-motivated if they're going to be working out at home. So, and then we'll also look to potentially sign a couple of these guys here in short order, get a few contracts done, and then, continue our recruiting efforts on some of the other guys that I had mentioned, and have some really good battles at camp for guys who want to earn contracts, because I think there's many guys that we've drafted that are worthy of them. So it'll be fun to see those battles at camp.